Good afternoon, fellow patriots and defenders of democracy. Welcome to The Madness. My name is Barrington McGill. This is a automotive YouTube channel. In the event you're here, and you're probably wondering why you're clicking on this channel in regards to the title, just realize that I'm talking about an automotive aspect of the person involved here. And essentially, this seems like the perfect way to segue into this moment as the Juicy Smouye moment that David Chappelle spoke about that we as a whole didn't really speak about, and in turn everybody thought we were not being supportive. In the event you don't know who Juicy Smouye is, he's a famous French actor who stars in a program called L'Empire, and he was viciously attacked by, how would we put this? Nigerian white supremacists. In the event you don't realize you're joking or understand where that's coming from, that's okay. Just try to follow along. Kevin Hart is essentially someone everybody likes. Well, except people who go back on his Twitter feed and dig up stuff from a decade ago. Everybody typically likes Kevin. He seems like a nice person, and as Dave Chappelle would say, he was 4 tweets away from being perfect. So, essentially, megastar, person of wealth, person of influence, who's trying to be on the up and up and clean up a lot of things, because essentially he just had the cheating incident where he was trying to be extorted. Then what else happened? He just said something, well, the Academy Award thing happened, then they went back in his tweets, and now I think he's catching a little bit of heat because of him not really caring that Lil Nas came out that he's gay. So essentially Kevin Hart can't catch a break right now. And that essentially is what we need to use to frame the entire conversation we're having moving forward. So at the moment, Kevin Hart can't catch a break. It was reported that Kevin Hart got into an accident while he was 20 minutes away from his home, and essentially there was 3 people traveling into the car. You need to pay attention to all of the minor details. 3 people traveling in the car. He was supposedly 20 minutes from his house when this accident happens. While he was traveling up what is that? California Hills. It's supposedly like 12:30, supposedly. I'm not really sure about the timeline, but supposedly him, 2 other passengers, I can't remember his name, another gentleman and a female, are going back towards his house, and they're in his 1970 Cuda that has a Dodge Demon crate motor in it, and not the Hellcat Hemi motor in it that everybody reported initially. Now here goes the thing. Initially when I saw this accident, what caught my eye was it seemed like the car flipped, and I'm like, Jesus. Now my selfish notion, and because we're here building cars and always want to figure out what the next upgrade is, said that would be a lot more sturdy situation if he had a roll cage. Now this is the highlight of the situation that I didn't hear anybody on the professional medium ask. If he's driving a car with essentially 700 to 800 horsepower in it, why wasn't there a roll cage in it, given it's an older car? When you swap these engines over, all the safety precaution, the stability controls don't get swapped over. So essentially, if you write a check that you can't cash, it's going to be you and whatever deity you believe in that will sort it all out. Especially since you don't have a roll cage and you're basically in a tin can with a big engine going fast. It's going to end well. It's not going to end well. There's no positives going forward. So upon looking at it, and I'm wondering, why is there no roll cage in it? Then they started rolling with other stories. The stories that started coming out was this. And they even released phone calls. So supposedly, we haven't figured out who's driving yet. However, they're going to report that there's no alcohol involved. Okay, fine. No alcohol involved. Here goes the next thing. Kevin was removed from the accident scene and supposedly brought to his home by his security team, at which point then they call the ambulance because somehow now his wife is now involved. Or it doesn't make any sense. Once again, it's like a Juicy Smouye moment all over again. It's like, wait a minute, what? Is this like, who's secure? All right, here goes the confusion. if you're running security and you pick someone up, or even if you're in an EMT type of facility and you're going to aid somebody, the first thing you do, you show up, you evaluate the person, you evaluate the situation, and then you figure out if moving this person is going to be more beneficial or detrimental to them in the long run. I.e., you give the person a one-over, check for injuries, check for any type of wounds, lacerations, so forth, to check everything that's going on. Upon getting back to his house, after a while, it would seem, or some moments, then they call the hospital because apparently Kevin had something strange going on, protruding from his back or his spine. It seemed like he had a back injury. And the only reason I'm speaking on this now is because apparently he's recovering, and in accordance with all the released notion, he's recovering. And, get well soon. I just want to know about the car aspect of this. Now, here goes the other glaring issue within all of this that no one is saying anything about. The Hemi Cuda that he was driving was converted from a 4-seater to a 2-seater, and somehow 3 people were riding in it. Yeah, we're playing 1, 2, 3 like on Sesame Street. This is exactly what's going on. No one can explain to me. It's just like, wait, the rear seats are deleted. It's essentially a big sports car now. Why was there 3 people Okay, fine. Then we're gonna go into the next thing. If your security team comes and takes you out of the accident, brings you to your home, to then call the police, isn't there something else going on here? It's just like, I got questions. Outside of that, long story short, the car had no stability control, no type of ABS or safety items on it because GM's sensors and what have you don't send the appropriate pulse, and there's nothing on the aftermarket that supports it going forward on that car. The other part to this is, given the cost that's associated with that car, why wasn't there a roll cage? Where's the roll cage? That's the only thing that caught my attention in this. Then what brought further notion of all of this is Kevin Hart's wife is on the phone sounding like, all right, you are injured. However, when this is over, we gonna have something to talk about because none of this makes sense. Because none of it's making sense to me. Or it shouldn't make any sense to you if I point out to you that somehow 3 grown adults are now driving around in a 2-seater. Money to travel isn't really an issue. There are numerous other vehicles available and other means to get home. People still take Uber. And upon getting into an accident, your security team leaves your home, drives 20 minutes to the place, take you up, drive 20 minutes back to the place, and then call the... It just sound... I'm surprised nobody showed up with a magma hat. That's all I'm saying. This seemed like another Juicy Smouye story, and I want to know what's up. Like, this don't make no sense. At what point should we call bullshit on this? Other than that, you tell me what you think. I'm gonna link to an article. I'm gonna link to an article that explains the swap and how professionals view the swap within itself. And then maybe after the fact, after you take that in, think about it a little bit. Maybe you're EMT. Tell me what you think. Other than that, welcome to the madness. We'll talk. Peace. Hold out now. In the event you actually like car things and want to see people actually work with their hands instead of just talking about cars, you can always come over and check out the channel because we actually have car stuff in here that relates to actually building cars. Like the same situation that we're talking about in regards to not having any safety equipment. No ABS, no safety nannies, nothing, an engine swap with small car with big motor. And men generally doing dumb things, but if you're here hanging out while you're here hanging out, click around, check things out. Look at people doing stuff. Productive. Yeah.